Hey everybody, this is Dream, and today we're going to do our breakdown of the DraftKings main slate. Before I get started, can you please smash that like and subscribe button? Really do appreciate it. With that said, let's get into this particular slate. So overall, we have point guards first. Trey Jones for the Spurs. He looks really solid here. He's been playing really well so far this season, and his price point is still pretty fair, for especially in this nice plus matchup for himself. Then we look at Colin Sexton, who's going to be without Mike Conley, it looks like, and he should end up starting unless the Jazz do something crazy. He's going to be a really good value, probably the top play on the slate overall. James Harden is looking pretty good at this minimum price point for him. He won't stay this price very long, and I expect him to have a really good outing as a result. Malcolm Brogdon is playing pretty good, but he is a little bit limited due to minutes. He does split the time with Marcus Smart, and Smart starts, and he comes off the bench. But overall, he's potentially going to be six. He's one of the top six man on this in the game, and so you do have to consider him because of the minimum price point. Tyrese Maxey has been playing pretty solid. He's been a little bit inconsistent, but he has a lot of upside in this matchup. And then if we look at Tyler Hero, it looks like that Oladipo will be out again, so he should be starting, and his price point isn't high enough to warrant fading him really, considering the fact that he's been playing super well so far this season. Um, for shooting guard, Devin Vassell looks pretty solid today. He's been really good, getting a lot of minutes, and him and Keldon Johnson are really the only two guys that get a lot of scoring on the Spurs. So I look for him to have another good game here. Jalen Green looks pretty interesting today. Now they do have a couple of their guys back, but Tate is still out, so he should be a top tier option on this particular slate. And then Desmond Bain, excuse me, if Brooks is still out, then Desmond Bain looks like he's a pretty good price point for this matchup. As small forward, Malik Beasley could potentially get a lot more minutes today with Conley potentially out. We do need to check back on that situation to ensure that, but if Conley's out and Beasley is slated to get a lot of minutes, then he should be able to pay off here pretty well. Josh Hart, he's another guy that's been playing well, and he's been 5xing every game. I expect him to continue to do that today with the price point being where it's at. Anthony Edwards is playing pretty solid the last two games. He's a little bit risky having an off game, but overall he's still been really good so far, and his price point isn't too ridiculous that you would feel like you have to fade him. Franz Wagner, he's a little bit up and down. He's not really a big boom guy, but his floor is high and his ceiling is low. For Tobias Harris, he's been playing a little bit up and down lately, but his minutes are consistent. The only real issue with him is that he's stuck behind Harden and Embiid in the pecking order for shots, and then Maxey is also playing really well, so he does have to, maximize his utility. But he does get assists and rebounds and stuff like that, and he's been playing pretty well so far. I expect him to be able to cover this price point as it sits. For the power forwards, Kelly Olynyk has been playing out of his mind the last two games. This Utah team is playing really good, and so as long as they play good, then guys like Kelly Olynyk are going to be players that we want to take a look at, especially at low-end price points. Keldon Johnson looks really solid today. He's been extremely solid for them so far this season, and he's the top option on the Spurs for scoring, and he will continue to be that. Jalen Smith for the Pacers, it looks like he's in an interesting spot. Now his price is rising, so you have to take that into effect. And he is only playing about 25 to 30 minutes because they've got a bit of a logjam of young guys at the power forward and center position. And of course, the other guy here is Isaiah Jackson, who's in that logjam, and he's getting around 20 or so minutes. If he starts here, he has some upside, but he's really kind of risky unless he ends up starting. Michael Porter Jr., he's kind of an enigma. He's a boomer bust guy. He's been playing pretty well so far, but he does have a low floor, and so you have to consider that when you're looking at this. Bam Adebayo, he looks pretty good today. He's been really up and down so far, but I do like the matchup that he's in. Wendell Carter Jr. has been playing really well lately. I feel like he has a pretty high floor and a decent ceiling, and his price point's pretty fair for this potential matchup here. And then we're gonna look at Jacob Podol, excuse me, or however you say his name. For the Spurs, he's been playing pretty good. His price is pretty fair here. He's been underappreciated for his upside so far this season, so I do look for him as a good option, especially if you want to go away from Wendell Carter or away from Sengun. And then, of course, we have Sengun, who's Might end up getting a start today, and if he does, he would be a lock, but his current role coming off the bench is sort of capping him to about 24 to 25 minutes. So we need to see that change for him to really become a great option at this price point. And then Joel Embiid, so far he's been extremely dominant in 2 of the 3 games, and this is a nice plus matchup for him with Miles Turner out for Indiana. I don't expect anybody in Indiana is going to be able to stop him. So with that said, thank you guys for liking, commenting, and subscribing. If you have any comments or questions about the slate, feel free to leave them below, and have a nice day, guys.